Hey there, welcome to Strong and Healthy, a podcast for local church leaders, families, and maybe even my grandchildren. My name is Steve Barr, and here's where you're going to find practical nuggets on a wide variety of topics to encourage, challenge, and hopefully inspire you to take your next steps in God. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about the priesthood of all believers. You might have heard this phrase before and wondered what it meant. And if you're a leader or possibly called to be a leader or a teacher, you need to understand this enough to be able to teach it to others. It is true for every single believer. If you're a follower of Christ, you need to understand that you are part of the priesthood of all believers. We see this first way back in Exodus chapter 19, verse 6, where God says to the people of Israel, "And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the people of Israel." And then Peter quotes that, and he says, "You are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light." So every believer is called to be a priest. A priest is somebody who represents God to mankind. We can and should represent Jesus to a lost and hurting world. We're a battleship. It's all hands on deck. Everybody has a job to do. It's not a cruise ship where we sit back sipping iced tea with a little umbrella sticking out of it and having somebody else cater to all our needs and just tend to us. But no, we are people who are at work. Every believer can lay their hands on the sick. Every believer can visit somebody in the hospital or share their faith or be hospitable. Jesus said, "Greater works than you have seen me do, you'll be doing." So we are called to be people who represent Jesus to this world. So there's a lot of stuff that will break down the idea of the priesthood of all believers. And sometimes we can learn about what the priesthood of all believers is, or any subject, by understanding what it is not, defining it clearly and understanding what it is not. So first of all, the priesthood of all believers is not hierarchy. The saints, that's every believer, they are the ministry team. We are all called to minister. We're all called to do the things that Jesus did. He went about doing good, and we're called to do the same thing. Nobody's better. Nobody's worse. We're all equal in the eyes of God. He's no respecter of persons. Do we have the same function? No, we don't. But we are equal in value, and we have different functions. So the saints are called to serve the Lord and do the works of ministry. The priesthood of all believers is not titles. Jesus told us, he said, call nobody father, teacher, etc. That's why I actually asked people not to call me Pastor Steve when I was leading a local church. It's my function, not my title. And so we see when Jesus died, there's several things that happened. There was an earthquake, there was darkness, people rose from their graves, and the veil in the temple was torn from top to bottom. Now the veil covered the temple. It separated the Holy of Holies from the holy place. And back in the Holy of Holies was the Ark of the Covenant and the presence of God during Moses' time and Solomon's time. But we see here that the veil in the temple was a thick curtain, and it was probably several inches thick. It was heavy, and it was torn from top to bottom when Jesus died. Now that veil separated everybody, even the priests, from going into the most holy place, the Holy of Holies. And when Jesus died and said, "It is finished," he accomplished what God called him to do. And now, because of that, his death, burial, and resurrection, we all have access into the very presence of God. That is a big deal. It's kind of scary if you think about it, the holiness of God. Every time people encountered angels that had just come from the presence of God, they fell on their face as though they were dead in fright. The holiness of God is a big deal. So sometimes we want to shy away from that. We think, oh, we're not good enough. We're not holy enough. We don't have a good understanding that we are declared righteous before him and that we have every right to be in his presence as his children. But it seems like it to me, for the last 2,000 years, believers have been trying to sew that curtain right back up. We want to have a separation between us and the holiness of God. Hey, I want the elders to do all the work of ministry. I just want to enjoy them doing it. I'll pay them to do it. I don't want to study the word. You just tell me what it says and things like that. I want to stay up late on Saturday night and drag myself to church on Sunday morning. You go to bed, Mr. Pastor, Mr. Elder, and you come early and you come refreshed and minister to me. So this kind of thing where we have titles and a separation, that breaks down. It breaks down the kingdom of priests. It puts other people on a pedestal. And we say, okay, we'll take a step back and you do the work. No, we have all been called to serve God and to be the priesthood of all believers, which leads me to the next thing that breaks down the idea of the priesthood of all believers is, get ready for it, lazy saints. Lazy saints. We are called in Romans 12, verse 11, to never be lazy, Paul says. Never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically. Back at the beginning of that chapter in Romans 12, he tells us to be living sacrifices, where this is our reasonable worship, where we serve God. We've laid down our life on the altar, and we put ourselves to death every day so that we can serve Him. It is a tough job. It's because we're living sacrifices. Usually sacrifices are dead and they're being burned up on the altar, but we're to crawl up on the altar still alive and offer ourselves up to serve Him and to lay down our life, sacrifice our life for His kingdom's sake. So we use our gifts to serve. We don't want to be lazy saints. We want to use our gifts to serve. We want to do what we're called to do. We want to serve in our lane, the thing that God has gifted us with to benefit the body of Christ and this world. So we do need to be partnering with the Ephesians 4 gifts in the local church, but they are invited authority into the local church. And there's a little bit more about that when I answer the question on a different podcast, what is the fivefold ministry? But we don't see, the last thing here we don't see is denominations in the local church. We don't see denominations. Elders are called to lead the local church. And so that separates us from others. That creates a hierarchy, a faraway executive administration leading our own local church. So we don't see that. And it is part of the thing that breaks down the priesthood of all believers. Oh, I'll let the pastor do the spiritual stuff, and if he can't handle it, we'll call those guys in from the outside and they'll take care of it. No, we are all to take responsibility as we are the kingdom of priests. But going back to 1 Peter 2:9 again, you're a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for His own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of Him who called you out of darkness into His marvelous light. Let's represent Jesus well in our churches, in our families, in the world. God bless you. Love you guys. Hey guys, thanks for joining in with me today. I'm really encouraged to see folks wanting to become more fruitful and effective in their ministries. Strong and Healthy is a work in progress with regular updates, so stay tuned for more. And please subscribe to this channel so you can get the latest content. And also, if you'd like, you can email me with questions and encouragement's at contactstevebarr@gmail.com. God bless. See you next time.